Welcome back to another edition of the B4evaKool podcast. My name is Rex45.
And my name is TJ with Two Wheels and Coffee.
What's going on, man? How are things?
Everything's good, man. Finally got the street bike out
All
and
right.
get ready for, the ride this year.
Got you.
So I'm excited. And we obviously had some great racing. We said we wasn't gonna go to sleep the last time we spoke. So
Right.
it was a lot of racing a couple weeks, like a week ago. So everything's going good. Can't complain. How about yourself over there?
Likewise, man. Can't complain. I'm fortunate my bike's been out, so I didn't have to bring it out. But did it feel weird bringing your bike out and pushing it around for the first time in months? Seemed a lot heavier,
Yeah,
heavier than what it was.
yeah, it's a different weight, and especially riding and going around corners, you're like, wait, is this safe to lean a little bit? Because it's colder up here still,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's just knocking the dust off, really.
I can see that. No, it's definitely it's a good feeling when you can bring the bike out, and this time of year, the weather is up and down, but at least it's a lot better than what it was in January or February.
Yeah, I mean, not unfortunately, we didn't get a lot of snow this year. So I mean, if you had heated gear, you could actually have been out there. But my preference is, a little. I like the temperature a little higher.
Yeah. I feel you. It is what it is. You'll get the heated gear soon, I'm sure. So then you'll come out in January and be like, "Yeah, I'm ready."
Yeah, one of my friends has the gear and he's bragging about it. He was the past couple of days, so he's trying to egg me on into another expense.
Yeah, but he's loving it, isn't he, or she?
Oh, he's loving it. Yeah, he's loving it.
Yeah. No, you can't beat it. Even down here, man. I mean, I saw somebody's one of these guys on YouTube riding down here, and he went out in the daytime, and then it got dark, and he was freezing. when it got dark, and that's the crazy part, because it's like, I see a lot of people riding, and I'm just wondering, they have to be cold, especially sometimes in the morning. I'm taking my kid to school, it's still kind of dark out, and I'm like, this guy got to be cold. He no gloves on, just a t-shirt. I mean, he has to be feeling it. And it does warm up down here, so it doesn't stay cold for very long, but I find that below like 70 degrees on a bike and no sun, it's chilly.
Well, that's all we got right now, so it's chilly up here for sure.
You don't even have 70 degrees.
Put on 2 layers. I'll put on a hoodie and then actual motorcycle jacket
Right.
and some long johns, and we try to make it work.
No, for real, you have to. So, and the same thing down here. So I don't know how some of these guys and gals do it, but they do it, and they get to their destination. So it is what it is. But yeah, like you were saying, it's been a lot of motorcycle racing, a lot of motorcycle news has been happening since the last time we spoke, actually. So I don't even know where to start. Do we just, we can start with, I guess we'll start with MotoGP, and we'll get into World Superbike and stuff like that. It's hard to figure out where to start, because at the end of the day, a lot happened. But the biggest thing is let's talk about the GP, and we'll work our way back, which might be a little bit weird. But the GP race, as everybody knows by now, Pecco and Marc Marquez got into it the last couple of laps in the race. And so neither one of them got points for the weekend, and that, kind of took away from, a little bit away from, what Jorge Martin did, what Pedro Acosta did, you know what I'm saying? And I forget who finished second place at the moment. Was it Bastianini?
Right.
Was it?
For the GP race you're talking, right?
For the GP race, was it? It was Acosta, Bastianini, and Martin, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So it took a little bit away from that. So let's talk about the incident. You've been riding, I've been riding. We're no MotoGP ex riders or current riders or anything like that. What are your thoughts on it? Who Do you go with what race direction is saying that it's just a riding incident? Uh, is it on Pecco? Is it on Marquez? Who should have known better in that situation?
Um, I think Pecco should have known better in that situation. But I also think, um, I guess it's just the where it was in the corner. Um, I do think it was just a racing incident, but I have my opinion on, if you pass somebody, how you try to make it safe for both of you guys. But I think it was a racing incident, but I also think that Mark knew what he was doing as well, and he thought he could probably just overtake. That was his probably only chance, and just stay in front without Pecco making a move. And like you said, they're both dominant riders. So
Okay, so I will ask
I,
this: Did Marquez change his line?
he tried to use maximum grip. Yes, he tried to he tried to use maximum grip just to keep going, pushing him. I think he could have rode that line much wider out to the outside.
And he would
And
have got
obviously,
he would have got passed, but
yeah. I mean,
they would have
yeah,
stayed
Pecco would have probably came up
on the
on
inside.
his left
And
side,
I don't
pass him, but the
and I don't know
next
what the
corner
next
was
turn.
right.
Right, I was gonna say I don't know what the next corner was because if Mark was on the outside and the next one was a right turn, he would have been on the inside.
Exactly. So he would have got that corner, but with I think it was 3 laps left with all the adrenaline intensity, you just want to take the position and try to hold it as soon as you can. But going down that hill, I don't know if Mark got a draft, but that's when he probably couldn't slow down and he went past Pecco.
Oh, I don't think it was a
Um,
breaking thing. I think he deliberately because from some of the interviews he mentioned that he felt like he can push some more, so he was pushing. But it did, it seemed like he tried to cut off Pecco's nose, and I think in situations like that, normally Pecco's the type of rider that would let that happen.
right.
Right. I mean, if it was Rossi, Rossi's probably not going. You're gonna be leaning on Rossi. He's not going to give that up, right? And maybe Pecco's riding like that now, but so I agree with you that it is. I think they both made a mistake, in the sense that Pecco probably should have just gave it up because he has to think long term instead of giving
Right.
up points. So he has to be a little bit smarter in that situation. I think he's right for fighting. He there was an opening. He was right for being there. So there wasn't like he did anything wrong in trying to pass back. And that's kind of what you try to do in racing, is to pass back as quickly as possible. So he was doing the right things. Marquez changed his line, and I even think normally they would have probably just touched and stayed up. So I thought it was odd that they went down. In all honesty, in situation, I mean, you saw,
me too.
you saw. I think it was Maverick and Jorge, somebody, or Marquez and Jorge. Martin, and they both touched and they stayed up. And yeah, I don't know. There was an instance. I think it was Marquez and Vinales too, right? That might have been in the sprint. I don't remember, but no, so that normally happens, and normally they stay up. So the fact that they both went down is the part I thought that was odd, because they touched and like they came apart, but then they went down.
I think Mark got hit a little bit from the back, so me and Pecco must have accelerated, because he probably had more drive coming out of his angle in the corner.
Right.
But I thought they would stay up as well, and it was pretty shocking to see them both slide out. I also think there was a build up to that. Um, the boy Pedro Acosta has been riding amazing, and he was in front of Mark for a couple laps, and he actually was attempting to pass Pecco a few times, and I'm sure Mark saw what was going on.
Right.
Pedro finally got by him, and then Mark was like, "Okay, Pecco must be losing traction or something, so I have to make a move," and that's what happened in that corner. I mean, that's my observation, because Pedro was you know passing him a few times, trying to hold on, and he would get by, then Pecco would get back by him, and then he finally made his way past,
Right.
and then it was Mark behind Pecco. So
So yeah, so it'd be interesting to see. I mean, obviously, I don't think we'll ever know what Ducati said to either one of them. You know what I mean. I think, if I had to guess, they want the factory team to be in first place, right? I think that just makes sense, regardless of Honda, whichever team they want their factory riders to be in first place, not the satellite riders. They just don't want that. So I don't know what's said. I mean, I think it's one of those things that's unfortunate because they both suffer from it. So not in this instance, there's no winner here, right? It's not, they're both losing points. Mark Marquez probably feels like he has a good shot at the title. Most of the world that follow motorcycle sports probably think he has a good shot at the title. So that's, you know what I'm saying? So from that perspective, it's not a good look. I mean, I think, outside of that, it's tough to see, but I kind of figured it's motorcycle racing. Something like that's going to happen, regardless if it's the two, if it's those two guys or some other riders. It's one of those things, I mean, that's really, everybody's fighting for the same spot and everybody wants to finish in the best position they can. So I think that's always going to happen. But, it'll be interesting to see what happens in COTA. It's a Marc Marquez track pretty much. So, I mean, I mean, Marc Marquez is like, you're going to have to be up front to be a problem, I suspect. I honestly think that he's probably going to win either both sprint and the main race in Austin, because he's won it. I think he's won it or did a DNF or whatever in the last 7-8 years. So the last time he won it was 21, and so I think he had 2 DNFs after that, or whatever the case may be, and maybe one before. Oh, he was out before that, right, because of the injury and stuff like that. And then he won 6 times in a row before that. So, and the only other person that's won it besides him is Alex Rins, right? Once on the Suzuki and once on the Honda last year, right?
Oh yeah, so yeah, Mark's was impressive actually on I think his last run at COTA, where he was like ninth on the grid, or stalled out or something on the grid, and was like in the back of the pack and finished top 5, I think.
Right,
so
right,
yeah,
right.
I think he has a really good chance. Like I said, this can't wait to be interesting. To see what he can do on a new bike at the tracks that he loves. So COTA is one of them that's coming up. The points he needs, like you said, this incident is early in the season, so I don't know if that's why they're not making such a lot of news about it. But I mean, sprint race is different. The GP race, that's a lot of points that could be lost. So
yeah, it'll make a difference at the end of the season if either one of them lose by the points they didn't gain.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Excuse me. That's.
But I think he does have a fair shot at COTA.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna have to root for Mark for this time.
Yeah. No, I think so as well. I think Alex Rins probably has a good. He might have a good shot on the Honda. We'll see. That'll be impressive if he can come there and do a 3-peat on 3 different manufacturers and win on 3 different manufacturers like Maverick been able to do. So now let's talk about Martin, because he won the thing. It wasn't easy because Maverick was there. I feel bad for Maverick. It sounds like he had a mechanical was the issue of why he crashed at the end. 1 lap to go, 2 laps to go, I don't remember exactly, to finish in second place. But it's impressive to see that Jorge pretty much did a Pecco for the weekend, right?
Yes, he did. He rode amazing. Looked like he had a focus, and that was to get victories. And like I said, a couple years ago he had a bad accident there too, so it must be very rewarding for himself, and actually for us to see him win.
Right. Yeah. No. Yeah. Exactly. It is very amazing to see him win. Yeah. I believe he broke 9 bones or something like that, and to even come back from that and to do what he's doing right now. And I think he mentioned it in his post press or conference as well. It's just like, wow, yeah, that's right. He did break 9 bones, and to come back and to we don't know if he's going to sign with Ducati for next year yet, and so realistically, at the moment, until we find out if he's signed already, and Furman Aldeguer's already been signed, Pecco's already been signed, and for him, it'd be interesting to see. So he literally, this might be the year for him to win it, because if he goes to another manufacturer, it's going to be very tough to win it in 2025.
That's crazy. What else does he have to prove? He proves he got the fight in him. I mean, like finishing in the top like past couple years. I mean, what like a championship has to solidify it? Like I don't understand.
I think so.
I mean,
I think so. And I say that, and it's the only reason why I say that. Bastianini got pole, and he finished second in the GP. And
it was good to see too.
Yeah, and I believe he finished fourth or fifth in the sprint or whatever the case may be. So if Bastianini continues to finish in the top 5, how do you not sign him back?
I guess. I mean,
I
know he was down for a while,
no fault of his own, right? So it's not like
right?
It's not like he had. Now, I'm a big fan of Morbidelli. I don't mean to pick on him, but Morbidelli's had surgery and struggled harder to come back. Bastianini has done a better job coming back, even though he took himself out, coming back and then taking himself out of race and other people out of a race last year. As far as the end of the season last year and so far, and if Bastianini, get like 10 pole positions through the year and wins, I don't know, 5-6 races, is he not deserving to keep his factory seat?
That's what makes it so interesting. We're gonna have to wait and see.
You see what I'm saying, though?
I agree with you. I agree with you, though. So if that does happen, then yeah, he would need a championship for sure.
For sure.
But like you would want a better rider than. I mean, we've seen a lot of teams move on with riders they shouldn't have let go.
But Bastianini's good. Like he's
good. I'm not saying he's good.
And like I said, he the second race of the season, he got pole.
Right.
Right.
So he has onto a good start for sure.
That's what I'm saying. So I don't know if you have it in front of you where he's at in the championship. But again, I mean, I think for both, I do believe Bastianini does have to finish in front of Jorge Martin to retain his seat for sure. So which means he needs to, if neither one of them win the championship, he has to finish in front of him to keep his seat. And I believe Jorge would have to win a championship to get that seat.
Oh yeah, well, Jorge's off to a good start. I mean, it's gonna be a battle, man.
They both are. That's what I'm saying. They both are good at a good start for that. And the crazy part is, it's not only them fighting for the factory seat. Right?
Yeah, no, it's whoever's in head of Ducati got some feelings are gonna get hurt no matter what.
Exactly. So that's the thing. And the question is this, right? And the only thing I think about with Jorge, does he have the patience? Does he have the patience to wait it out? Because Jorge Lorenzo didn't have the patience, and for good reason. I mean, I'm not, for good reason, right? But he signed with Honda before he sorted it out with Ducati, and then by the time they sorted it out and were winning and up front, it was already too late because he already signed a contract to go somewhere else. So in Jorge Martin's case, you hope he wouldn't sign to Aprilia. I mean, it really is only Aprilia is the only option. Maybe at the moment it looks like KTM is going to give Acosta that factory seat, and Brad is doing fairly well, so he's signed till 25 anyway. So if Jorge Martin's going to leave, the only competitive bike to go on would be the Aprilia, because Honda and Yamaha would probably give him the money, but then they're not, and they're not going to fight for a championship.
So if he goes to Aprilia, and not to like jump off, but Fabio was talking about leaving and going to the Aprilia. You think they're gonna get rid of Aleix and Maverick?
No.
Maverick, or who else they got?
I think Maverick will get another year. I think so far by what he's doing and the fact that it was a mechanical. And again, I believe it was a mechanical from what he sounded like, and nobody's disputing that it was him. If it then at this point, and he's been riding fairly well so far, and it seems like all the issues that where he's had a good weekend and didn't perform well during the week on a race day, it seems like it's mechanical and set up, not him. So I think
that was.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say that mechanical issue. That's like I still don't understand like what really happened.
I think gearbox
Uh,
it sounds like gearbox. I don't know if he lost like fifth and sixth gear or something. But something. Yeah, it from what his response was. It sounds like what he's saying is mechanical. So I think obviously no one's seats saved, right? So therefore, anything is possible, right? So it's possible that, but I mean, would you give up Maverick for Quatuara?
I mean, no, not no. I mean,
No disrespect to Quattararo, but Maverick is really good too. So
he's a really good rider,
yeah.
and you know, for years, you know, in GP. So yeah, this is just I don't know. It's tough. If Jorge don't get that factory seat and has to go to Aprilia because there's no other options, then
So
I don't know.
and I say
That's why the decision has to be made soon.
right, and I go back to saying being patient because it is like he has a factory bike, and I believe he has a factory contract. He just doesn't have the colors. So you know you see what I'm saying? Like Furman Alligator has a factory contract as well with Ducati, but he does. Who knows where they're gonna put him? So when I say be patient, it's just kind of like, bro, you got a 24 bike, you got the money, you don't need to be in all red. I mean, I wouldn't leave Ducati because I didn't get all red and I got the bike.
I mean, that wouldn't be smart. I mean, to go to a different manufacturer when you got the best manufacturer right now. I mean, like you said, he should be patient, and we know his level. He's always jumping around. It doesn't seem like he's a patient guy.
Listen. I was gonna say that earlier, but you know that's I was dancing around. Like he from last year to now. I think you know Pecco showed he has more patience, right? And so I hope like the whole I need to be on a factory color type of thing doesn't you know make him make a decision that puts him on another brand because Ducati's gonna win for the next I don't know 4 years unless Honda, KTM. Well, KTM's the closest one to win the championship, and the closest one with Brad and possibly Pedro to win the championship. Outside of that, you're gonna have to, like I said, you got six ducks to go through. So, you know, I think for him, just ride, win the championship, and if he wins the championship, he'll get the factory seat. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah, I
if he
mean,
signs, if he signs early to somewhere else, and then if Ducati stops giving him updates because he's leaving, you know,
yeah. And now to play the game, right?
yeah, it's like we've seen it with other riders in the past. You know what I'm saying? All of a sudden they're leaving, they're not seeing any of the latest updates anymore. They're not. It's like
They're finished in 7th, 8th.
you know what I'm saying? And Ducati didn't do that with Jack Miller when Jack Miller went to KTM, right? So I know they haven't done that to everybody, but I think they kind of did it with Dovizioso. You know what I'm saying, towards the end and stuff like that. So, you know, it's one of those things where, you know, I hope that doesn't happen. So, I like I said, Bastianini he's putting himself in the best position to retain his seat. And, you know, that's something else that's something, you know, Jorge Martin is dealing with fighting off Pecco, but at the same time, it's like he got to fight off this other dude too, because he has to be better than both of them. I mean, not to say better than both of them. He really needs to be better than Bastianini. But at the end of the day, he needs to be better than both of them because, you know, outside of that mistake between, you know, Marquez and Pecco, and I don't think, and usually Pecco, you know, even Marquez, they don't usually make those mistakes twice in the season. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
So I don't think you're going to see those silly mistakes happen like that too often. And, you know, but, you know, like I said, so I think that Jorge Martin, you know, he's going to have to keep his cool. But he's going to have to fight against Bastianini. You still got Alex Marquez that's looking for his seat. I know Bezecchi's going to come into his own eventually because he's finishing up in the top 8 right now and stuff like that. So I think eventually once he gets his qualifying up, you know what I mean, and get that feel for that bike, I think he's going to be closer to the mix. But so
Yeah, I think so too. I also think that Pecco, um, a lot of his mistakes usually happen early in the season. He usually tightens up and he finishes strong. For the past couple of years, I've seen Jorge start off very strong and make a lot of mistakes towards the end of the season as the crunch time comes.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if Pecco's just getting his mistakes out of the way. I mean, I'm not saying that was his fault, but it just looks like he wanted to take that line back immediately, and then both of them got taken out. And I'm sure they won't make that mistake again, like you said. And like I said, I've seen Pecco make a few mistakes early in the year. Like I think last year, 2 years ago,
Oh yeah.
Pecco dive bombed at Loseo under Jorge Martin, took them both out.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
So I don't know if that's something that he tries to get the underline, but
No,
it's something.
I completely agree. So let's go into now. Let's talk about the KTM people a little bit. KTM's look really good. You
Oh
know,
yeah, Brad Binder is
I own two
solid.
KTM's. I'm happy for that.
Good choice. Good choice.
I also have two Ducatis
No,
too.
it's
So
oh yeah, another good choice.
so
I have a Suzuki. It's not in the league no more. So
oh, but listen, you got a championship, don't you?
yeah,
So in recently,
got a
because
Yamaha.
yeah, well, exactly. uh, I'm
Those
happy
KTM.
for Jack Miller. I think he had a pretty good weekend overall. I think I believe he finished what, fifth
Yeah, I think he finished fifth in the
in the Grid
Yep,
GP
fifth.
because
Yep.
Pedro was third, Miller fourth. I mean, Brad fourth, and he was
Brad
fifth.
Binder was third or fourth.
Right,
Yeah,
fifth.
they finished
Um,
all three in a row.
yeah, all three in a row. So that's good to see. I'm rooting for Jack because I mean, I think he'll probably stay in KTM to some degree. Maybe he might go to a different brand. Who knows? Maybe he might go to Honda or somewhere else because the way that Pedro's riding right now, it's going to be hard to sit here and say he's not going to get a factory seat.
That kid's riding on a different level, like something I didn't expect. Like he has like no fear. I mean, I know they all got no fear, but it's just like his level of focus. It's like I don't know if he's just got that look on his face all the time, but
Well,
uh,
he is,
he-
but like I think, like Marquez pointed out, all the riders that come from Moto 2 these days carry a lot more corner speed than
right.
the GP riders, but they don't know how to manage the tire well. You know what I mean? So, and if you think about if Pecco and Mark Marquez didn't crash out, and if Vinales didn't crash out, it might have been different. You know what I mean?
True.
So it's not to say a win is not a win, and whatever, right? But when you crash out and somebody win, you know what it is, right? You got to recognize like, okay, well, I still got to be better than these guys because they're not going to always crash out. You know what I'm saying? So I'm very impressed with where he is, but I think as the season goes on, and there's going to be still a lot of tracks where you have to manage a tire fairly well. We'll see how he does with that. But will he be a top 8 rider by the end of the season? It's possible. I still don't
I think
believe.
it's possible.
Huh? Say again?
I think it's possible.
Yeah, I think top 8 by the end of the season is realistic. At the moment, I don't believe he'll win the title because there's just too many good riders. You know what I'm saying? Brad still has something to say. You know what I mean? Mark, so I'm not going to list off all the other riders. So it's not that he's not a talented rider, but it's not like it's Moto 3. No disrespect to those Moto 3 riders. When he went out to Moto 3, you saw him struggling Moto 2 a bit, and it took him 2 seasons to get there. So I don't necessarily believe that, and you look at Martin, who's been close. I don't, normally it's not an easy thing to do. And that, and again, even when Mark Marquez came along and did it, it's we'll see. You know what I mean? That's something I think that we'll have to wait to see on. But I do believe he'll probably end the season in the top 8 if he continues to finish like how he's been finishing. You know what I mean? But I don't. You know, I don't see him at the moment. I don't see him like smacking up the whole field and beating them straight up and nobody crashed out. I don't see that.
Yeah. I was gonna say, he seems pretty close. Like I said, top 8 is a solid, uh, uh, you know, choice for him to finish. But if he gets closer, like I haven't seen him rub any paint. I haven't seen a wing fly off yet. Like, he has to get a little closer, get in the mix with these guys to be fighting.
Oh yeah, he's scratching the hell out of his belly pan though. Oh my god.
Yeah.
He's the KTM guy's like he's the first rider that's leaned the bike over that much that the fairing is rubbing. You see it on the side with on both
Yeah.
sides. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, he's using that lean angle for sure. All the grip.
for sure.
But yeah, he gonna have to rub some fairings and some, like we're seeing, they be leaning on each other. Like all the other riders, tires touching shoulders and all that stuff. So
Right. No, so I don't see that, but it's very impressive to watch. The guy's a talented rider. The cool thing about him is that he's making decisions that is safe. That's the best way to put it. He's riding well. He's what I'm saying, he's not coming in and making corner and taking he hasn't been really making bad choices outside of managing a tire and stuff like that. Like he's been doing all the right things. So, hopefully that will continue and I think as he gets to know that bike more and more, yeah, I mean, who knows what the end of the season's like? But like I said, there's a lot of other talented riders that he's gonna have to he has to step his game up a little bit to be able to just straight up, beat them.
well, it's pretty cool too that hopefully that steps up Jack Miller a little bit. Brad Binder always likes to challenge with the teammates, so he's gonna probably step his game up a little more, just to not see Pedro come out and dominate. But I think they have a good setup where KTM is on the rise for sure.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I think that I'm pretty sure they will look at the data and those guys will figure it out. But again, you're 3, 4, and 5th. It is what it is. You know what I mean? So that's really hard to especially in a field of 8 Ducatis. That's pretty impressive. So far 2 rounds of racing, and MotoGP has not disappointed.
Nope, not yet. I mean, there's every rider has a scenario. So, and just every race counts right now. So
Right. Oh, yeah.
hasn't disappointed at all
So
as
yeah,
of yet.
and
I
yeah,
don't see that.
and so let's get into Moto 2 a little bit, and Aaron Canet, man.
Well, like you were saying, for a win's a win, but he still has to do better because he was in second. But I'm happy for the guy. I'm happy for the guy. He finally got his first win. But like you said, a win's a win. He still had to ride really hard to get that. And after all the second places and all that stuff, I
15
know
of them.
it was good to finally 15 second places.
And
And
on
finally get
one
to one.
hand, I would love those 15 second places.
I would too.
You know what I'm saying? Like, on one hand, I'm thinking like, man, you know what? That's really good, right? But I
Still
get it.
standing up there, right?
Right, but I get it. I get it. You want that first spot because honestly, I have a lot of second places and third places now myself, but not a lot of first places. So, you know what I'm saying? So I get it. You know what I mean? You do want to, everybody wants to win. So I get it. But,
It's got to be in the first loser.
yeah, I'm exactly. I was definitely happy for him. It's definitely good for that brand. I think it's the Finetti brand or something like that. They bought the VR46 team. Celestine rode with them last year and left, I believe halfway through the season or the end of the season or something like that. and for Aaron Canet to get on that seat. And I believe it was Pons Racing left last year, right? So he was out of a seat anyway last year because they left they left the MotoGP. And so to come out there, give those guys a win. He's been in Moto 2 for a while now. One of the he's starting to get long in the tooth. The chances are these guys are not going to make it into MotoGP. Just because the way MotoGP right now is, they're just taking young riders. It's not because he doesn't have the skill set. So don't give me any bad comments or anything like that. It's just the way it is. Joe Roberts finished second place. Another guy, I think he may have missed his opportunity for MotoGP as well because he had the opportunity to ride with the Aprilia when it wasn't bad and he didn't want to go. But now, as a 25, 26-year-old rider, that it might be hard to get in MotoGP if you're like 26.
Yeah, he's gonna probably have to win the championship.
Well, even then, no, seriously, even then, because think about it, like if say Joe Roberts won the title, who's gonna take him? He's gonna have to go back for another year.
He's gonna have to, like I said, it's tight in GP right now, and it's only gonna add another year to him. But yeah, they're shooting for younger riders. Or just trying to build a resume to give yourself a chance, mainly.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, obviously, Joe Roberts win one. He has talking points, and the American racing team is there for him. It's not American. Well, the Roadhouse team is there for him, and so it would make sense for them to have an American rider rolling with them. Not necessarily needed, obviously, but the way Raul is riding right now, and Oliveira didn't really have his best outing at his home track. Right. You know what I'm saying? There's an opportunity maybe for Roberts or Canet to go to one of these teams, but chances are it's that like, you look at 19-year-old Pedro, you look at Pecco when he came in, you look at Martin when they came in, Quartararo, all these guys came in early 20s.
Yeah, right. They all came in early 20s for sure. That's a fact.
Zarco was the last one that came in older.
Yeah, man. I don't know. They keep shooting for Moto 2, or then they can't get in GP. The next move is World Superbike and venture out.
Exactly.
Test riding.
So off from Aaron Canet, Joe Roberts rode well. Happy for them. Happy for the American team. Furman Aldeguer, man, jump start, double lap penalty. Still finished, I believe, 4th or 5th. If he had a little more tire underneath him.
I mean, if he had one long lap penalty, it'd have been,
right.
But that just shows you like his drive, like, and when you're that far behind, when you just mentally just lock in and just push, and he had to have solid laps where it was whoever was in his way, he just got a nice line around them where it didn't hold him back. Because finished 4th, that's pretty impressive as well.
And I did not realize that Furman Aldeguer and Pedro Acosta pretty much are from the same, not pretty much, from the same town, and grew up training together mostly.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and so I've always been I'm on record of saying I'm a fan of both of them, but to me I think Furman is a better rider. And my example was, he came from the European Moto 2 championship, and he was kicking butt in that when Pedro was in Moto 3. Obviously, Pedro's further on and moved up the way, and for whatever reason, when Furman came into Moto 2, he struggled, and now he found his footing, right? But nonetheless, and he has a contract already for 2025 for 2 years on a factory thing. So, he got the better contract going into MotoGP, even though it's a year later. And, to see what he did in the race this past weekend, is he going to run away with the championship if he doesn't make any mistakes?
We all know mistakes happen.
Can Lopez stop him, his teammate, who crashed out leading?
Aldeguer had such an amazing run last year towards the end, winning 4 in a row, something like that.
5.
So I really see it. I really see it. I mean, if Aaron Canet um, can continue to fight the way he's doing, then maybe it might slightly change.
So,
But
we got
uh,
Canet, we got Lopez maybe, and we got Roberts.
and Aldeguer's three
Well, we're
fighters.
saying Aldeguer is the one to run away with it. So we got
Oh,
three
okay.
because Albolino. I'm not sure what's going on with him there. Right? Uh, who else?
Yeah, I mean, uh, I don't know, Vietti, Igor, but
Well,
you know,
Iagura for Sam Cat Tantra, Iagura, Celestina Viete right now, like I he has to ride better. He has to start riding better sooner. You know what I mean? He may have a seat waiting for him in Ducati in the MotoGP. Who knows? Whatever, right? I don't know, but like I forget where I think he finished sixth, all right, or eighth or something like that. Viete.
let's see.
So
He finished seventh.
finished seventh. So that's
Yep.
decent, right? Considering where he started, but he's gonna have to one on that KTM. He's gonna have to finish better. They have higher expectations than that, and I was hoping he would have just switched teams and would have done like what he did when the season started and he was running well in the beginning and the year before how he was running. So, you know, at the moment I got to say Joe Roberts, Aaron Canet, Lopez, if he could stay on the bike, which it sounds like he can, which I think he will be able, he'll figure that out. Furman Aldeguer, so far, two rounds in, these are the standout guys.
I mean, for him getting chosen to sign with a MotoGP team already, I mean, I feel like he's gonna show out. I mean, he already that race with the double long night penalty, that was pretty impressive to stand where he got to fourth place. So if they don't find a way, well, it's hard. I mean, he's gonna do what he's gonna do. If Canet can't find a way to stay up front to try to, I don't want to say he's gonna block him, but like to try to stay in front of Aldeguer,
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna be tough.
It's going to be very tough. So, but it is a fun season. And before we get into World Superbike, or we may have to save that for another episode. It just came out that Formula One owners are trying to buy MotoGP.
I think that did that happen? Because I was seeing Moto GP and World Superbike, something like
Well,
that.
so Dorna owns both, right? So
Yeah.
they own both. So Liberty Media to acquire MotoGP. So it's not the ink. It's not etched in stone yet, meaning that the ownership hasn't taken place yet, but they're in the process of it. It sounds like I don't know what it's like to buy companies outside of the U.S. and stuff like that. So I don't know how much they have to go through and who has to approve what and all this fun stuff. But at the moment, it sounds like, this Liberty Media company is going to own MotoGP, World Superbike, and Formula One.
So do we? I saw it, but I didn't really read much about it. So what we can expect to change or stay the same? If you know anything.
I don't know. I mean, it's interesting. I can see why they brought in the sprint race, right? Because to make it more lucrative. It's always it's I don't know. I say that because I think of other companies I've worked at and done business with, and I've seen them make changes, and then a year or so later you find out they're being sold, type of thing. So it's one of those things we were talking about the sprint race, and the beginning of last season when we were talking about we compared it to Formula One, and we sat here and said they wanted to make it more interesting on Saturdays because. Again, if you're buying the 3-day ticket, it's nice. Yeah, Friday's nice, Saturday's nice, but usually it's a small crowd on Saturday. You know what I mean? Because they come in for the main race. But now with the sprint, ticket sales for Saturday is going to go up, probably Friday too. So it seemed like they did all the things that, at MotoGP. When I say them, did all the thing. Dorna rather, they did all the things, and it also, making it fun, right? Bringing in all these. We sat here and talk about, how come they keep bringing in all these young riders up, right? Before you'd see riders are older coming in and stuff like that. But you see how what they've done in the last few years. So obvious, and I just say obvious, but when people are trying to sell companies and buy companies, they're usually in talks for years. It's not like it's not, you know what I mean. It's not like 6 months and then like, oh, we have a deal. They've been talking for a while. So Dorna put themselves in a position to make the MotoGP as lucrative as possible, also entertaining as possible, because with the sprint, it's more entertaining with these new young riders, with the competition being so close of the talent of riders and stuff like that. There are going to be more people watching and going and all that fun stuff. So it's like I'm sitting here when I saw that, and it was just kind of like, that's why they did all these things, to put themselves in a position to sell. And what I'm hearing is it's over $4 billion, which means they'll own World Superbike, probably Moto E, MotoGP, and whatever else that Dorna owns, essentially. And which makes sense because, those guys are getting old, right? you see those guys, they're getting old.
So,
Not the riders, the behind the scene guy, the CEO.
yeah. Do you think so MotoGP has MotoGP, Moto2, Moto3, some races, some tracks will have Moto E. And then World Superbike has the Superbike, Super Sport, and they have the 300, right?
Yep. And then they have the Women's League this year.
Right. So do you think there's too much for, like, say, MotoGP, or where they stand now, there can be too much entertainment? Like, they added the sprint race. What do you think they can add more to keep people, like, occupied? Do you think, like, if they have too many races that not everyone will show up to see all of them? I don't know. It's a thought process. Like, say if they added a sprint for Moto 2, Moto 3 as well, would that be too much of a long of a day to see what you want to see? Some people might skip the other two races and just see MotoGP. I don't know.
I will say this. I think World Superbike and MotoGP should not be on the same weekend. Right? I think that shouldn't. I think that shouldn't happen because, like, then I know scheduling and all reasons why that does happen, and it's not every weekend that it overlaps. But I think that's for me, I'm just watching more racing, so I'm not complaining about it on one hand. But you know what I mean? It is a lot of racing. And if you're following, it is. What I'm saying, you're not going to go to two different. You're not going to go to World Superbike and MotoGP. Excuse me.
Right.
If you're a fan and you want to go in person, right? So I do think that should happen. But it's only recently that is the amount of racing we've been seeing. So it's still new. So I don't know if it's going to get tiring. I don't think so. You look at all the different soccer leagues out there, you know what I'm saying, around the world, much less, you know what I mean? And you see that, you see how much basketball teams are out there and how many teams are playing around the world now as well. So, no, I don't think so. I think that the sport is continuing to grow, and that's where we are. The riders will tell you it's probably the safest it's been. As a spectator, it seems like it's the safest it's been from just watching. I'm not on the track, so you know what I mean. And they are doing the website is a much better. It's easier to navigate nowadays than before. So from all that, it's a win-win. So yeah, I don't know if it's too much. You know what I mean? But I maybe one start when one finishes type of thing. You know what I'm saying? So there's no off season for us. We can just watch World Superbike when MotoGP ends and then, MotoGP starts again. I don't know. Formula One, I haven't been to a Formula One race, but they seem to know what they're doing as far as putting on a show. So I think it's going to get even more spectacular.
And so, I agree with you that World Superbike and MotoGP shouldn't be on the same weekend. That was such amazing for, like you say, as a spectator, because I can just flip back and forth and just watch all types of riders on one weekend.
Right.
But it was hard to keep up with all the racing that was going on. I would have to go back and rewatch, or especially to see everything. So it'd be good to have more separate weekends on their end. I'm sure they can make more money that way. As far as GP, I don't know if they have to like how they dropped. I mean, when they added the sprint, they dropped like a practice, and so forth. So if they add something else to make it more entertaining, will they have to start doing things on a Friday? And
Right.
that'll probably get more people in for the whole weekend. But who knows? We'll see.
Yeah, and I don't want to, and I agree with you, and I don't want to. I think if they're gonna do anything, I think it'll be Moto 3 and Moto 2. I think that's where they have
Right.
the opportunity to add more stuff for them, right? But I think the GP, 21 races, 21 race weekend, so 42 races. That's a heavy schedule, and if football players, had 32 games instead of 18. I mean, granted, they're not banging themselves like that every play, every race, but you have the opportunity to definitely jack yourself up. What I'm saying, in a race. That might be a toll on the riders, and maybe that's why they went with younger riders. Who knows? But I think the ones that will be able to deal with that the most is the younger riders, this doing the sprint and the GP over. You know what I'm saying? So who knows? But it's cool to see that the sport is growing. The donor folks must be excited to have that opportunity. I mean, hopefully, the owners won't jack the price up. I know that some Formula One tickets are very expensive. MotoGP tickets are, for VI, and I'm thinking VIP stuff. I think it's still depend on the location. I think MotoGP is still a little bit cheaper for like VIP tickets than a Formula One ticket. But then you also got a lot more celebrities going to Formula One than you do MotoGP at the moment. You know what I mean? So, the way where Formula One right now is it's huge.
Yeah, they had just had one recently over here in Vegas or something like that on the street.
Yeah, exactly.
Something like
And
that.
and and there's
Yeah,
Miami, and so which would be cool. I don't know if you could do that with MotoGP. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know if you could do that. Maybe with World Superbike or something like that. Maybe you could do some street riding. Like a street course type of thing with World Superbike. MotoGP might be a little more difficult. And because and especially with the rules, because of the runoffs and all that stuff, it'll be a different race, right? It might be Island Man TT American version or something like that. Not, saying on the streets type of thing. But it's possible, or maybe the smaller bikes. You know what I'm saying? So who knows? But it is good to see. I mean, obviously, we would love to see more racing on American soil because it's Europe for the most part.
right. Yeah, I agree for that as well. I can't wait to see what changes they come out with. So I'm gonna have to look up on more into that and see what's gonna happen.
No doubt.
That's crazy. They got the owner talking in the works to the media to take over
Yeah.
the other two platforms too.
Exactly. I mean, I think we're gonna wrap it there, and then we're gonna do World Superbike separately because there's so much things to talk about, man. And I'm looking forward to the next round in Austin, which is a couple of weeks away. I got some buddies going, so for their first time, so I think they're gonna enjoy Austin and enjoy the season. But so far, man, it's been a hit.
Yep, April 12th. That's when it's going down.
Yeah, 11 days from
And
now.
Yep.
No doubt. Man, yeah, you want to shout out your sponsors, man?
Yeah, and official Vortex, J&G Performance, Hideaway Rentals, and Woodcraft Technologies for always supporting me.
No doubt. Definitely check out hamdonyard.com. Go to Hamden Yard for all your latest HY gear. Go to Workbench Technology, workbenchtech.com for your computer, consultant, anything you need. Next week, we're going to announce the winner of the trivia. And like always, please like and subscribe. My name is Rex45.
My name is TJ with 2 O's and Coffee.
Peace.
Peace out.